Rev up your engines!
Run 4 says, do you think we'll see good deals when the chip shortage is fixed, rebates, etc.? No, I don't think so. They've lost so much money that they want to make the money back. Corporations are greedy and have the ability to make a large amount of cars. They can sell them as much money as you can possibly get. That's just how they are. They want to make a lot of money. Unless they can't sell their vehicles. If they can't, they'll start giving rebates. But if they can make more and sell more, they're not going to give any deals because they've lost so much money. They want to recoup what they didn't make in the first place. That's the problem with a lot of corporations. They keep wanting to make more and more and more, and they're not happy with the steady profit. They got to make more and more and more, and eventually the whole model falls apart because they end up making junk that costs a whole bunch of money to make more profit, and then you buy something that costs a lot of money as a pile of junk. If they'd stop the rat race, things would actually work out a heck of a lot better. Awesome says, I got an '01 Lexus that idles very slow, 300 RPM. What should I check? First thing, change the air filter. Clogged air filter or do that. Second is, do my video. Make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. You clean the throttle with throttle spray cleaner. You clean the mass sensor with mass airflow sensor cleaner. So watch that video. Costs you maybe $12, $16 for the 2 cans, and you can do it 8 or 10 times with those 2 cans over the years. Works on any car you have. And it should idle back up. If it doesn't, check for vacuum leaks. But generally, it's just build up carbon and dirt on the throttle and the mass sensor that'll do that. Sheriff Shinoy says, Toyota Corolla 05. Made in Japan or made in UK? Which is better? Well, I'd definitely go for made in Japan. I've been to England, and I was not impressed by their work ethics. They may have once often taken over the globe, but their social welfare system, I believe 60-something% of the people are on social assistance, has turned them into a nation of people lying around doing nothing and whining all the time, and smoking and drinking. So, I would much rather have one made in Japan, where they really take their quality seriously. I'm sure that the Japanese factories that make Toyotas in England are a lot better than the English factories, but still, I'd want one made in Japan. Their quality control is just top notch. I mean, I had a Honda made in Japan over here the other day. It had 480,000 miles, and it still ran and shifted like a dream. I've never seen one that wasn't made in Japan that did something like that. Gallup and Galumpus says, Scotty, tell us about octane boosters. Okay, when I was young, the octane was much higher. You get 100-something octane because the compression ratios were high and engines were simple. They had carburetors. Well, they keep making the engines more complex. They keep making the gasoline cheaper with lower octane. If you have a really old car, like say a 66 Mustang or something with a souped up V8, you'd need higher octane gas than you can buy at the pump. So people will buy the octane booster and pour it into your gas tank, and it will raise the octane level. But they are very expensive, and you need an awful lot of them to raise it a few points. It's a very expensive endeavor. It does work, but you wouldn't want to do it for everyday driving. It would cost too much money. Now, I was younger. We used to go to airports and buy aviation gas for them. But after 9/11 and all that stuff, it's hard to get aviation gas, and it's gotten really expensive too. So most people really don't want to buy an old car that needs 100-something octane gas because it's going to be hard finding good fuel to make it run right. And the octane booster would cost you a ton. If you bought regular gas, you put the octane booster in, you'd probably have to put in 4 or 5 bottles to make 20 gallons go up enough to make it 100-something octane. It would cost you a fortune. Professor Sequoia said, when did Subaru head gasket issues end? I have a 2011 Impreza 2.5. They were ended way before that. Yours does not have the problem. They just didn't know what to make the head gaskets out of. The materials were wrong. The modern ones are much stronger. They don't blow head gaskets like they used to now. Any car will blow a head gasket if you run it out of oil or overheat the engine. So always watch your temperature gauge and keep clean oil in your engine. And if you do, I don't see Subarus blowing head gaskets. The only ones I've seen are people that don't take care of their vehicles, or say a rock hits their radiator, the engine overheats, and they just drive it till it won't drive anymore, and then they'll blow the head gasket. And more things worse than that if you keep driving it till it doesn't even run anymore. Jeremiah Jackson says, Scotty, what do you think of transportation using horses, mules, camels, elephants, etc.? All right, well, I was just at a couple of Amish farms, and they use horse and buggy for transportation. And they had some nice horses there, and they took care of them, and it's a slower mode of transportation. They don't pollute like cars. They leave the odd horse dung here and there, and noxious odors too, but not like a car. For every gallon of gasoline you burn, it burns up like 10,000 gallons of air. So, horses don't breathe in that much. Of course, it wouldn't fit in with our modern fast-paced lifestyle, but laid back, doing their farming. It's kind of nice on our farms. I rather enjoyed talking to the people, It's a completely different lifestyle. So set back from ours. I mean, they got a house, but no electricity. They don't get bothered by emails and warnings and blah, 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 and the world's going to come to an end. They don't watch the news. Hey, maybe the world's better off if people don't watch that nonsense to get stirred up over a bunch of nonsense. I kind of agree with him when it comes to that. Daily Sunrise says, what is the eco economy button really doing the engines on? I don't know much difference in my miles per gallon. Should I turn it on or off? 2017 Honda Civic. The economy button just makes your engine shift in that vehicle a little bit early. So instead of going, it'll go, you get a little bit better gas mileage. And some cars, not those particular Hondas, but some fancy cars, it even affects the timing, the fuel injection. I mean, it affects all kinds of things. I've seen cars that if you push the economy button, you might get 28 miles a gallon, and if you push the power one for street, you get 12 miles a gallon in the same car. You're not going to notice all that much difference in normal driving. You know, unless you drive like an absolute maniac and speed up as fast as you can, you just drive normally, you're not going to notice all that much better miles per gallon gas mileage. You get a little bit, but it doesn't make all that much difference. Sean Head says, Scotty, what do you think of the new Supra's engine, the B58? Okay, well, the Supra isn't a Supra. It's a BMW Roadster, and those BMW engines are excellent. BMW makes excellent engines. They always have. It's the electronics that have problems in those things. They're uber electronics and all the plastic crap they put on the engine that cracks and breaks as it ages. That's why they call them endless money pits. I had a customer who had a BMW. He had so many problems. I said, get rid of the thing. So I took it to a guy, and I happened to meet the guy. And the guy says, oh, man, I love it. Your friend's BMW says, what a great car it is. Well, I met the guy about a year later at an auto parts store. I said, how's the BMW working out? He says, the biggest pile of junk I ever bought. The plastic all fell apart. I sold it 2 months ago, and I'll never buy another one. So, excellent engines, but the rest of the cars, over time, money pit city. Nate Stickler says, hey, Scotty, any issues to look for in a 94 Corolla's been sitting for a year? Yeah, all kinds of issues for one main reason. Why the heck was it sitting for a year? There's got to be a reason it was parked for a year, you know? Now, if, say, a guy joined the army or something, or somebody went to prison, okay, it makes sense, right? But generally, people stop driving cars because they have a problem. Well, if you can get it running, drive it around, you know, watch my video. How to quickly check out a used car. Scotty, watch that. Do all those tests. If it passes and it runs good, they're not going to get that much money for a 94 Corolla. Go ahead and buy it. They're excellent vehicles. But, like I say, stick it in the back of your mind. Why did the guy park the car for a year in the first place? There's usually a pretty good reason. It has to do with something's wrong with it. Ron Thomas says, I got a 99 F-150 XLT with a 4.6 V8, 200,000 miles. What do you think about putting on PI has to get more power? What do you think of manual swapping the tranny? You know, if you want to go through the hassle of swapping the tranny, you'll never have transmission problems again. It's the trannies that wear out in those. They generally go 140 to 200,000, then you got to keep replacing them. They just flat wear out. Now, as for putting heads on it, okay, you got 200,000 miles, right? If you got 200,000 miles on it, you don't want to just put heads on it. You have to rebuild the whole engine. You make the heads make more power, then the bottom end will go out. The pistons and everything will go out the crank. You might as well rebuild the whole engine if you really want to do it. Just don't slap new racing heads on an old, worn-out engine. That's a big mistake. I've seen people do that over the years. That's just a big mistake. Go ahead and put it on if you want, but then when the engine breaks, you got to take it all apart and rebuild that too. You might as well do it all at once and do it right. DTX Febreze says, my Camaro 2013 engine is blown. Is it one part or is it the whole engine? When an engine blows and breaks, it no longer runs. There are so many things that can go wrong. And it's a Camaro, so I assume you've been driving it like a maniac. You're generally better buying a completely remanufactured engine or take pot luck, get one from a junkyard where somebody wrecked the car and it was running perfectly fine. It was smashed in the front or the side and the engine was all broken in pieces. Could be still a very good engine. It's a bit of a gamble. But when you break an engine that doesn't run anymore, it's a real gamble attempting to rebuild it because there's so many things that can go wrong. Even if something simple as a bearing went out, whether the metal gets in the system, scores everything up, it's better to just get another engine than it is to attempt to rebuild yours. I say that from years of experience and seeing guys put good money into bad engines and then a year later they break again. Now do it right or don't do it at all. Or gamble with a used engine. Jared Kroll says, Scotty, my 89 Lincoln Town Car needs a new transmission and paint job. Is the car worth the restore? How well is it built? Well, you didn't get the mileage, but you want to get it painted and make it look nice and put a new transmission. Those are body on frame, Panther body style. They can last forever as long as you're not rotten. If you live in Detroit, get in there with a hammer, you hit the frame. If it cracks, it's all broken. No, it's a rotted out piece of junk. But if it isn't rusted, go right ahead. You can keep driving those things forever. Hatery says, I want to buy Citroen C5. What's your opinion? Well, if you live in France or someplace, go right ahead. In the United States, forget it. You can't get parts for the stupid things and nobody knows how to work on it. Like my data system, I use all data. It's a very good data system. It doesn't have Citroens in it. If you can't find guys who can work on them, and of course you can't get parts for them, you don't want to buy one. But if you're in France, I know people that bought them in France and England, and they love the cars because the parts are available, they're not too expensive, and people know how to work on them. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.